Life's too serious, especially now. You gotta try to find the funny in something. I've always liked to make people laugh. I did some cross-dressing here and there to try and kind of not necessarily tap into that female identity that I kept in the back of my closet, but it was more just because that wall was too thick. She was never going to come out. I just want to explore life. Life is meant to be had. Life is, every day we wake up, life is a dream. It's either a nightmare or a dream. I try to make it a dream.
What do you really know about people who were born transgender? Have you ever met someone who's transgender? Well, if you're like me, you're curious, but hesitant to ask questions. Well, welcome to Demystifying the Transgender Journey. In our conversations with people who were born transgender, their families, friends, and the professionals who support them, we ask probing questions and discover insightful and educational answers. You can also find more information on our website, thetransgenderjourney.com. Now let's get right into today's episode. Before we begin today's episode, we want to offer a brief content note. This conversation may include discussions of sensitive topics. Please take care while listening and feel free to pause or skip this episode if you need to. Your well-being matters. Welcome to Demystifying the Transgender Journey, the podcast where real stories meet honest conversation and lived experience takes center stage. We're so glad you're here. This is the space for curiosity without judgment, dialogue without defensiveness, and stories that reflect the full human experience from people who are transgender to their families, their colleagues, and the professionals who support them. I'm Lynn Murphy, author, speaker, leadership coach, and the cisgender half of your host team. Your co-host is Wendy Pohl, gender diversity consultant and speaker, who transitioned at age 67, and she's living proof that it's never too late. Now, we don't claim to have all the answers, but we do believe that honest dialogue can open doors, challenge assumptions, and invite thoughtful conversation when we're willing to listen. Now, I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest. Today's guest may or may not be a fry cook from Venus. She claims she came to Earth on a reconnaissance mission, stayed for the math, accidentally collected a few PhDs along the way. But here's what we know for sure. Michelle is brilliant, she's bold, she's battle-tested, and she's unapologetically, gloriously herself. From being a teenage math prodigy to earning multiple advanced degrees, to standing today as an advocate, a minister, a baseball player, a mother, and a fierce defender of transgender youth. Michelle's journey from boy to woman is not a straight line. It's a spiral through faith, science, identity, ego, grief, humor, resilience, and finally, freedom. And she describes herself as out loud, proud, and here. And she means it. So she suggests you grab some popcorn because this conversation will make you laugh, wince, marvel, and maybe even reconsider what strength really looks like. So let's take a ride with Michelle. Michelle, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody.
Give us a little bit of your background, set the stage for what we're going to talk about as far as who you are and why we're here today.
So I was born in the DC area, which has pros and cons back in the 70s. One could say it was an idyllic time to grow up. The town that I grew up in at one time was considered a small town. I laugh because my father was basically the heir apparent of owning the town. He was the resident minister, but he also kind of ran the town. And if I was ever in trouble, all I had to do was get one look from any number of proprietors of where I was. And they were like, aren't you supposed to be home? Yeah, don't call my parents. But it was also idyllic. Literally everybody knew my name and I knew all of their names. We could sleep with our doors unlocked. We could ride our bikes for freedom. It was incredible. Not quite like that anymore, but that's okay. Things changed. Thomas Wolfe says you can never go home again. I used to think it was because home changes, just like I described, but it isn't. We change, whether it be to a new identity, whether it be to how we relate to the world, but we change. And I think that's the crux of what I want to talk about today. The good, the bad, and the ugly of why we change.
Well, and you've got quite a background educationally, and lots of advanced degrees. You've got an eidetic memory, which just fascinates me. And I think you're the model for Sheldon Cooper in the Big Bang Theory, right?
That is unfortunately correct. That is unfortunately correct. Yes. Although
Uh,
I think I look cuter than he is.
yeah,
Oh,
you
definitely.
definitely do. You started
Yeah,
your college career early, didn't you?
I did. I did. Unfortunately, too early. I think this was fine with it, but the maturity was not there.
Right.
Because of that, I ran into a lot of resistance, whether it be other classmates, whether it be the teachers, just a lot of, we'll just say friction. I'll take the high road. Just to touch on the eidetic memory, it's a wonderful thing. I can recall the ice cream I had when I was 7 years old, mint chocolate chip. It's the same thing I eat now. And where I was, Charlie and Jason next to me, we rode our banana seat bikes down to Bradley's. It was awesome. It was a great day like it is today. Warm. That's why we went to get away ice cream. But it's also a weakness. It makes you remember things I don't want to remember.
Mm. And you
And
did.
certain things will trigger those memories. I was talking with my best friend the other day, and somehow we got to talking about pictures, how it's really kind of evolved from, when we were kids, the Polaroid thing and SLRs to now, anytime you need a picture, it's on your phone. You don't have to send it off to Kodak and wait, hopefully, a week. I say hopefully because
Right.
usually it's 2 weeks. It's instantaneous. So she was going through some of the pictures of me when I was a kid. And again, I can remember looking at those and what they are, but I started to get sick, literally physically wanting to be nauseous because I can remember the bad stuff that went along with some of that stuff too, those
Oh,
memories too. So although it's an incredibly great thing, it's also a really bad thing. So
Well, Michelle, when did you have an inkling that you were in a boy's body, but a woman's brain?
I think it really started probably when I was a preteen is when I really started to, and I hate to use play light of this word, fantasize about it. I know it can be a good and a bad word for people, so I don't want people to read too much into me saying that. But I guess imagination, maybe I'll say that to
right.
be respectful. Imagination and not fantasy. But when I kind of let the imagination go, and part of the problem with being a boy genius or now girl genius is you overthink. So naturally, I overthought every step of that process. So I didn't feel I could come out as we use today to anybody, whether it be family, friends, teachers, friends, whoever, till I was about 15. So going back on that memory, I decided, okay, enough is enough. I've overthought it enough. It's time to come out. So I told my parents. Now, to understand this, my parents were much older. I'm the youngest. And so I've always been the baby, always been the one they looked after, always the one that, they thought great things were going to happen. So when I told my parents at 15, my mother cried for exactly 5 minutes,
Wow.
used an excuse of the grocery store, the mall, something to leave the house. I'm sure it was the grocery store, knowing my mother. My father says to me, let's go in the backyard and continue this conversation. Makes sense? Okay. So we go out in the back and we're talking and everything. And eventually we work our way towards the back part of the house. The backyard has railroad ties that go like this. And then there's a flower bed behind the railroad ties that kind of keeps it in. And then there's a big wooden fence behind that that kind of separates my parents' property with the property of the people behind them. That's their backyard. That's our backyard. So the pride and joy of my father in his downtime and de-stress time was that garden. Would always make sure that that was in things like Southern Living, all sorts of magazines and periodicals, whether it be local or national. So if he were to say to me, hey, go up and get such and such up in the garden, I'd jump like that. No problem. So that's what he asked me to do. And quick like a rabbit, he jumped up there with me. And within very short order, he took a nail about that long. I'm saying that's probably about 6 inches, maybe 5. Got me right here,
Right.
through my palms, and nailed me up against that fence
Oh,
and
my
left me there.
Wow. And how old were you?
I was 15.
Wow.
God.
Very
Lovely.
small for my age. I graduated high school at 97 pounds, so I was maybe 90 pounds at this point. So I'm literally dangling. We'll call it like this.
Oh,
Really?
gosh.
Your feet weren't
And
touching the ground.
no, ma'am. And
Oh, wow.
I just hung there screaming, screamed, cried, swore what little swear words my teenage brain knew. And what felt like hours, I would just stayed there, cried it all out. And I cried out to God. I cried out to my parents. I cried out for my family. And I couldn't cry anymore. I literally, in the bake of the sun, was completely dry. My throat was dry. My tears were dry. And I've just got blood coming down my hands and down my wrists because I've been hanging there.
Oh, Michelle. And this was
And
your
again,
Pentecostal minister father, right?
that is correct. Because admitting these things is a sin. And we're not going to get into theology. If anybody
Mhm.
wants to know that, they can talk to me offline. But the theological piece was absolutely wrong. This is wrong behavior. This is wrong thinking, and it has to be dealt with. And the best way to deal with something of this magnitude is to kill it so that it can't be brought back. Now, what I felt like was, again, it felt like hours. I don't know how long it was, if I'm being completely honest. Let's just say an hour for this conversation. My mother comes home. The situation, I understand it, was she asked my father where I was. My father pointed to the backyard. My mother assuming I'm playing. So she comes out to see how I am because, again, it's hot. So she's bringing me something to drink. I still remember, and I can still hear it as we're talking, her scream of me on that fence.
Mm.
My brother at the time lived right down the street. But again, very tight-knit family. My brother came up, got the back end of a hammer, got those nails out, got me to the hospital. Now, fortunately, and I say fortunately, slightly tongue-in-cheek, it's been over 40 years. So any scars of the stitches, because I had 10 in this hand and 15 in this hand, are pretty much invisible. I know they're there because my eyes can see them, even though if I were to show them to anybody, they'd be like, I can't see anything. But it's more because I know in my mind what was there.
It's implanted in your brain.
Exactly.
Oh.
So fortunately, unfortunately, as I said, fortunately for the world, you can't see anything, but I know it's there. And I share that story because that was a different time. We have come out a much different environment. I mean, Wendy's proof of that. You can come out at any age. I came out again at 50.
So you didn't come out then? That was the last.
That
Did you say
drove
anything
me drove me back in the proverbial closet, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened
Whatever.
to your father? I mean, that's child abuse. What happened?
Absolutely nothing.
It was a different time.
It was a
Yeah.
much different time. Having a daughter that's that age now, I can say a skin knee that she does herself. My ex-wife and I are called.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, did something happen at home? That didn't happen then. If anyone were to call or make a, we'll just say house call to give it a word, it was dismissed of, he's accident prone. He's exaggerating.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
They could talk themselves out of it, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
And
Wow.
unfortunately, we'll use the term authorities, believe that.
Mm-hmm.
One,
Right.
because, I was accident prone. I was too big for my body in terms of my head compared to my body. And I was a reckless kid. I loved to play with firecrackers and do all the stupid little things that kids did in the 70s. Rode my bike without a helmet. All the things you're not supposed to do. So it was believed. Plus, if we go back to what I said earlier, my dad owned this town.
Yeah.
Right. So it was perfectly logical that you nailed yourself to the fence.
Or I was playing with friends and that's what happened. Or any
Right.
number of other reasons. We'll just sum it up that way.
Nobody
Yeah.
looked very carefully.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that was the end of you talking to anybody about being transgender for years.
Well, I didn't. I just felt like I was a girl. I didn't realize it was transgender.
So when
Right.
did you have the language for it?
Going through my divorce was probably one of the most difficult things in my life, other than transitioning. And when I first moved out of the house, I'm waking up one morning. It's probably one of my first mornings in the house. Now, mind you, no furniture, nothing in the house, completely empty. You could hear a pin drop. I'm actually sleeping in a sleeping bag at that point because I hadn't even gotten to bed yet. I heard that little voice that we all hear. Okay, people, I'm not crazy. I'm hearing voices, but it's that subconscious voice
Exactly.
that says, hi. And absolutely shuddering and stuttering, I said out loud, Michelle, is that you? I'm saying it calmly now, but believe me,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, when I
Oh,
say I shuddered and I stuttered, it petrified me to say that sentence and that question. But I did. And this is honestly what I heard back. So you do know I exist. And that scared the blank out of me.
yep, I
Wow.
bet.
Wow.
And so, again, getting back to what I said before, being in therapy for my divorce and just separation and things, I brought it to my therapist. You know, they always do that thing in therapy. So what's new? Well, I got a doozy for you. Hold on to your hats. This is a doozy. So I told him.
Now, did your wife know about you at this time as you were getting divorced?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told my therapist, and he looks at me and starts laughing. And we're talking knee slapper laugh, guffaw laugh. And I was like, Anders, what is so funny? And he used a she pronoun and looks at me and says, you are the smartest person in the world, but ma'am, you're also the dumbest person. I said, what? That's an oxymoron. And of course I went on this whole, we'll call it a Sheldon tirade of definitions of all the things that he was trying to lay on me. And finally I said, why are you saying that? That's really insulting. And he says, because I'm transgender and you never knew it. I used to be a girl.
Wow.
Wow.
What?
And he knew.
Come again? And so I spent the next 3 months and I increased it twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. Start my week, end my week. Every Monday and Friday for 3 months for an hour and a half out of pocket. I explored this female alien that decided to plop down into my life and shake the foundation of everything I knew about myself.
That
And
is incredible.
I'd say probably about a year, maybe a little more, a little less, probably closer to a little more. I said the words out loud. I am Michelle and I am transgender. And I told this is my therapist, the first person I told. And he looks at me and says, well, it's about blankety blank time, Michelle.
Talk about
Welcome to the
encouraging.
welcome to the other side.
You found an ideal therapist, someone who's a good therapist and someone who's got lived experience.
And he is still my therapist. I'm only once a week now, but yeah.
He sounds
So
fantastic for you.
terrific. And so I again explored it, and once I came out, in my mind, because when you're again, I'm not trying to fall back on my childhood, but when you grow up in that prodigy type of environment, you overthink and you analyze everything to the nth degree. And especially you overthink and you overcompensate. So you take things to the extreme, whether it be relationships, whether it be friendships, whether it be the way you go about your day. It's essentially the autism spectrum. So I know I'm neurodivergent. That's a given. So when I dived into this is who I am, I dived headfirst and I knew I wasn't going to look back. I made an appointment within probably days, maybe a week tops, with my doctor and said, hey, guess what? This is the second person I came out to. And now I've known Dr. Brad, because that's what I call him, probably since we were in our 20s. And he looks at me and says, really? It's about time. How did all
About
these people
time?
know and I didn't know?
Wow.
You surrounded yourself with the right people, didn't you? Without
Smartest
even
person in the
knowing it.
world. Smartest person in the world, my foot. So he says, well, the first thing you have to do is you have to go and go to endocrinologist and get meds if you really want to do this. Okay, let's do it. So fortunately for me, I got an appointment that afternoon and I started HRT, human placement therapy. And because I'm an impatient soul sometimes,
No,
I would
really?
say, I know when he's like, tell me something. Oh no, Michelle, I know you pretty well, and I didn't know that. Yeah, anybody that knows me knows that's not the truth. So I would say probably 6 months after I came out to my doctor, I went in and said to a plastic surgeon, give me boobs. I want to be a girl. Now, WPATH, I get it, requires a year. I understand. I went in and he says, well, I don't follow WPATH because I had to explain to him what it was. So if you want this, by all means. So, of course, again, the extremist, go big or go home, baby. 800 cc's, let's do that. So we went to the insurance company and they said, well, we don't really want to do that. We won't go that high because you're a man, which of course I'm like, I'm not a man.
Mhm.
So we worked a deal because for reasons only known to the insurance company, they equate cc's with cup size. Completely wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe it. Anyone tells you otherwise, they're full of stuffings. But Blue Cross said, this is the cc's, it's this cup size. Fine, whatever. It's their game. But they said, we'll cover up to a C, maybe a D if you appeal. With kind of, like wink, wink if you want to appeal. And so Dr. J says, well, just so you know, Michelle, that's 500 cc's. Well, in my mind, the legal number at that time in the United States is 800. I want 800. I want the most you can give me. Well, we worked a deal that Blue Cross would pay for the 5 and I'd pay for the 3. So I got 800. I got what I wanted. I was very happy, very happy.
Mm.
And one thing that I have noticed, and this is kind of skipping ahead, but one thing I have noticed is that when you have gender dysphoria, true, it never goes away. Will always be with you. It's almost like that monkey on your back that you just, hey, how you doing? You know it's there. You can't get rid of her. She's always going to be there, or him if you're trans mask. But one thing that you experience, and I experienced it in the nth degree, because again, extremist, is body dysmorphia. You start looking at your body and going, my body is aligned, but it's not fully aligned with what I want. And for me, that started with my chest, which is silly. I've got the highest you can have. What's wrong with me? And I fleshed it out in therapy and I still couldn't do it. Every day I'd wake up and I get out of the shower and look at myself and go, kind of stuff. So long story short, this past summer, I'm Googling around because I've still got the 800. I'm just kind of playing with Dr. Google. And I see that Movi has authorized 1345, which is now the highest you can go. But the caveat is it can only be used in women who have had breast cancer because it's for reconstruction, not for implants, for augmentation or for plastic surgery for aesthetics. So I called Dr. J and cried on his shoulder. And Joanne, who's his wedding coordinator, and I can use her name because she's a great ally, was like, Michelle, we'll get through this. I promise. So we went out for drinks that night and I'm crying on her shoulder. I wish I could get 1345. So she worked the phones. She worked Blue Cross, my insurance. And she basically, and I'll use my word, not hers, because she'd probably kill me if I said it. She convinced them because I am trans, I literally am going from 0 to 1345. That's reconstruction, just like a woman who's had a mastectomy.
Mm.
So I am the proud recipient of the largest you can get in America. And again, does it go away? No. But my body dysmorphia, because I do the test every once in a while, like Trump, cognitive. I do that test every once in a while to see how I am. My body dysmorphia is single digits.
So you're feeling good about all this.
Because I feel good about myself. Do I
Yeah.
wish my hair was a little longer after I got it cut? Yeah. Do I wish certain things were a little better? Sure. But 99.99% of me is, this is me, world. Take it, leave it, or get out of my way. I'm out,
Yeah.
I'm loud, I'm proud.
Good for you.
Um,
So how did that change your personality or your, the way you lived once you were able to transition and come out socially and physically?
I've always been a little shy, because I was always afraid that I would get picked on, because I was always picked on from my, I'll just say, my brain, to give it a word, or my smarts, whatever other word you want to use. So I kind of learned to be shy, and I didn't let a lot of people in. If you think of a castle, I'm the castle, and there's that moat around the castle,
Mhm.
and I never let the drawbridge down. Fortunately or unfortunately, and she's never going to see this, I don't think, my ex-wife, the drawbridge is down. She knows all of my hot buttons, and she loves to push them now,
Mm.
which is fine. I mean, I get her too. I've known her since we were teenagers. You know,
And how long had you been married?
31 years.
31. Wow.
You got
Um,
married young.
She had turned 18 in April, just a week ago yesterday, and I turned 19 in October. So we figured the best time to do that was right in between our birthdays, July 9th. 3 months after
Mm.
her, 3 months before me.
Mm. And then you have a
So
child together. So
we do. Um,
how did the family react? How did people handle this? Your ex-wife, your child, other family members?
I have one brother, one sister, and one sibling, and I'll explain. My sibling is what she calls, and I have to use that disclaimer, the moral authority in the family. She is convinced that dad was right. I need to be exterminated. Her words, not mine. And as far as she's concerned, I am an apostate. We won't go down all the different names. People know what they are. If people are listening and watching this, they've probably heard them about themselves as well. Anything negative, fill in the blank. My other sister, once again, I decided to tell her in public because I'm afraid what she's going to say. Because again, they're all much older than me. This sister's in her 70s. And she looks at me across we're at an outdoor cafe having breakfast. And I told her, and she looks and says, it's about time. I've known since you were 15. How do people not tell me? Yeah.
You were too
Yeah.
busy overcompensating with your college degrees.
Why did people not tell me? So, of course, she's now my biggest ally, especially in the family. And I told her, I said, look, you got to help me tell our brother. My brother is straight laced, stoic, complete opposite of me, self-made millionaire, never went to college, 320 in his graduating class. He was 321st. Joking. But you know, he's a wonderful person and has become an incredible resource. As he says to me on a regular basis, I still don't fully get this, but I love you because you're my little sister. I took care of you when you were my little brother. Now you're my little sister. And that's amazing. And I tell him, it's not your journey, it's mine. You don't have to get it. Just be supportive. And he does.
Well, and that's what love is about, isn't it? Accepting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because he's stoic, you can sort of see on camera, I have two tattoos. The one here is an owl with a little baby owl. That's my mom and me. And then below it is a cow with a little baby cow, and that's my dad and me. They've both passed. And so this is my reminder of them. So when I showed this to my brother, he looks at me and says, you know what's going to happen. I said, oh, really? Yeah. My brother doesn't cry. Think Mr. Spock on Star Trek. I have to cry for him. So when he saw this, he's like, you need to cry for me because that's really awesome and really cool to do that for mom and dad.
Were your parents still alive when you transitioned?
My father, no. My mother, yes. My mother passed at 99 and I came out when she was 95. Funny story. Slightly X-rated story, but that's okay. I'll G it up. I'm wearing a slightly revealing tight top. Not quite what I'm wearing now, but
Not
girls
you.
are definitely, no, not at all. I'm not out. But kind of revealing to a point. But, for me, I'm comfortable. It's nice. I'm probably about 6, maybe 7 feet away from her. She's in her chair. I'm in what was my dad's chair. Think Edith and Archie Bunker. I'm in his chair. And so I tell her, Mom, there's something I want to tell you. She's a good mom. What you got, baby? So I tell her. She can't really hear because, again, she's 95. She leans in. Can you say that again? So I get up and figure I'll get a little closer. I tell her, I don't understand. Okay. So I get a little closer. What? She can't hear me. Great. What do I do? Now I'm basically standing over her. She's in the chair sitting down. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm hovering over her. And I'm in heels, not big ones. I usually wear 3-inch heels. These are like 1.5, maybe 2-inch heels. So I'm now 6'2", hovering over my very old, very can't hear mom. I tell her, Mom, I am transgender. I go by Michelle, and I'm fully female, biologically, emotionally, physically, sexually, and spiritually. She reaches up and touches something. These are nice. Oh, God, Mom, getting felt up by my mother. She then touches the other one. I just have to know, honey, did you get a deal? Yeah, Mom, that one in your right hand cost me $10,000, but the one in your left you threw in for free. It was a BOGO. Oh, I'm so happy for you, sweetheart. To the day my mother died, what friends she had left that would come visit her. Have you seen my little girl? She's got the best boobies. And she got a deal. Let her tell you.
Such a deal.
The 2-for-1.
I got
Did
a
you
deal.
expect that kind of response from her?
Not fully. I mean, I knew that, again, age, that there'd be a little bit of a disconnect, but I didn't expect that, no.
So fully accepting you. And did she say anything like these others that they'd known since you were a child?
No, she never said that other than she just was like, okay. And she'd slip from time to time. And I've realized as I get older myself that unless it's not done in malice, I roll with it.
Yeah.
Because I was that other person for 50 years.
Yeah.
And until, so to ask somebody to change their way of thinking like that is completely unfair of me and completely disrespectful of whoever they are in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those that have been around now, they knew that guy, they're coming around. Ironically, I probably have more friends as Michelle than he ever had.
Likewise, exact same situation.
It's interesting that happens.
Yeah.
One of my really, really good friends, Carol, said to me, probably going on 2 years now, she says, Michelle, you need to build a tribe. Embrace that Jewish heritage, baby. Build your tribe. And so I have. And most of them are women. But most of my friends, they're all either they're cis or they don't know him. They know Michelle.
Right.
My best friend who every morning at 9:01, I get a text. Good morning, gorgeous. She's so affirming. Love her to pieces. Agapo, Sharon, is watching this.
What about your child?
It's hard to answer that completely because they're confused with their identity. My daughter's name starts with a K. It's the same as my ex-wife. We named her after her mom and her grandmother, her grandmother, great-grandmother. But she has initials. So more often than not, she goes by her initials. That's what we call her as her parents. When she started high school this year, she has 7 classes, 6 different names. 3 of them are male names. So there are times, because kids get in trouble, the teacher will send an email or a phone call or a text to say, blah, 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 did this today. And I literally have to sit there and go, that's my kid. And there's times I do it occasionally. It doesn't happen a lot because I'm getting used to it. I'll call my ex-wife and go, are they talking about? And she'll roll her eyes because I know my ex. Go, yeah, dummy. Oh, okay. Just making sure. Because And I say them, even though she's not Pan, because it's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But she gets it. He gets it. They get it. Sounds like I'm telling people my kid's schizophrenic, but they just, it can be difficult.
Well, kids today do explore that and they
They do.
try out different things. And I
They do.
think that's fantastic because we never had that opportunity.
No,
You got
absolutely not.
crucified and I got threatened with the insane asylum. So, I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. No, for me, it's a wonderful thing. I
Mhm.
absolutely embrace it. I think it's great. My ex, not so much. She feels it's she thinks it's a mental disease. It's not. It's confusion. It's all sorts of things. And of course, it's all my fault too. Let's make sure we put the blame at the right place.
Yeah,
But,
there you go.
but my thing is, are we going to withhold love because of those things? Are we going to say, I'll only love you when you renounce this? No, we're parents. I just believe in unconditional love.
Does your
I would
child
like to,
come to you for conversations about her, her gender, her
from time to
orientation?
time, sometimes, typical teenager runs the battery down on their phone. So
Mhm.
by the time they get home, battery's not always charged because they're most a disorganized mess similar to their EMA here. Can't always find a charger. So doesn't always happen, but we try to touch base. We try to at least, connect. And
Okay.
I
Well, it's great
tell
that
all
she
the,
knows you're there for her.
but yeah,
And
but that's the bottom line. I'm there.
yeah,
Mhm.
So so it's when I tell them all the time, whatever you want to say, whatever it is, I'm a phone call, a text, a carrier pigeon away. Although with the carrier pigeon, warn me first because I got to open a window. I don't want to clean the splatter off the window. That's just nasty.
Well, it's nice that they've got your support or somebody that they know they can talk to, even though you're a parent. Kids don't want to talk to their parents, but hopefully they are able to talk to you about some of that.
Well, I think for me, I got some great advice from my rabbi when she was 13. Was don't look at the 13 to 18-year-old that you're going to have for the next 5 years. Think about the 21-year-old that you're going to have. Yes, you still have to parent these 5 years. You don't advocate. And yes, you still have to, be in her life and do all the things you're supposed to do. And yes, be the disciplinarian, blah, 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 and all the things a parent does. But keep in the back of your mind, my kid's going to be 21 one day. My kid's going to be 18 one day. And if you think about that child that you're talking
yeah,
to and the way you talk to them and approach them and you educate them and teach them, because you're always teaching your kids, and you
Mhm.
think of that child, you'll be fine because they're not always going to be the little pain in the ass that they are right now.
right.
It doesn't last that long. And it feels like an eternity, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, but just for keep in the back of your mind, they're going to be 18 one day. Talk to that kid. And I do. And it really, really helps. I've tried to impart that wisdom to other people and
Yeah.
they just look at me like I'm crazy. But I truly believe that's how I'm managing the teenage years because they're a
Yeah.
challenge. It's definitely different than when I was her age or their age or his age or whomever they are today.
Your kid's age.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you overcompensate? You mentioned that earlier about overcompensating for things when you were, or before you had transitioned.
Education is probably the biggest thing. It's just,
Mm.
I've always tried to maintain my sense of humor through everything because life's too serious, especially now. You got to try to find the funny in something, you know. I've always liked to make people laugh. I did some cross dressing here and there to try and kind of not necessarily tap into that be my identity that I kept in the back of my closet, but it was more just because that wall was too thick. She was never going to come out.
Mm.
But I think it was just kind of like, I just want to explore life. Life is life meant to be had. Life is every day we wake up, life is a dream. It's either a nightmare or a dream. I try to make it a dream. So I
Mm.
think things like, eh, you know, burlesque singing, cross dressing, playing music, preaching, The world is an amazing thing. I hate to use this expression because it's so overused, but the world is an oyster. And it's finding those pearls as we go along that we can look back on those, I'll call them milestones, and go, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. That was cool. So I wanted to kind of just experience life. And it was good or bad. I mean, my shoulders are examples of that. I
Mhm.
have other tats that remind me, whether it be the Red Sox or, I have my faith on here or just different phrases that remind me of things when I was a kid that I can physically touch and look at and remember. And it's also a good conversation piece. Gets people to not staring at my chest, to stare at my tats instead.
So,
Again, humor.
so growing up with a father who was a Pentecostal minister and having the experience with him that you had, how does your faith play a part in your life now?
It was a very difficult thing for a while. When I first, I guess we'll say came out, that's the phrase that we use, I found what I thought was an affirming church. Being a songwriter and being a musician, I played the piano and the guitar. I spent a lot of time with the minister, either helping him with sermons, being a good sounding board, working on music. And eventually he and I formed a really, really good partnership.
That's
And
great.
and it was fantastic. And one day after this partnership, he decides to make us public. Unbeknownst to me, mind you. There's probably 900 people in the congregation. And now that's in person. We're also, this church is also online like most are. There's
Oh,
probably
wow.
another several thousand online. And we're talking worldwide, not just local.
Mm.
So after service or just before the end of service, I give a solo, go to sit down at the piano, and he says, Michelle, come up here real quick. Okay. Takes my hand, puts his hand in my hand, and puts it over our heads and says, I am in love with this woman. I don't care who cares. I don't care who thinks it's bad. It does not matter because she is the love of my life. And it was amazingly awesome. I cried, of course, because I do that. Thank you, estrogen. Cried my eyes out. People coming up congratulating me and thanking, say, how long do you know? And of course, I didn't know, but it was great. And that went on for 2 years, just over 2 years. Again, calls me to the front after my solo, takes my hand, this time like this, and says, I just want everyone to know, in person and online, that Michelle and I are breaking up. What?
What?
Oh, God.
Total bombshell. And of course, he's still holding my hand. So at this point, he gives the benediction, which is what most churches do. And then he wants to walk down the aisle because that's what we do. We walk down the aisle and then people filter behind us. And we stand by the doors and say goodbye and shake hands. And people say, hey, I loved your song or I like this or whatever. And see you next week or, just chit chat. So we're walking down. I move my hand. He turns to me. We're about halfway down. Are you okay? What do you think? I just,
What
I,
was he thinking? I mean, my goodness.
I just looked at him, cold dead eyes. Don't talk to me.
What was that all about?
What brought it on?
I'm not a real woman.
After all that time.
After 2 years?
Yes.
Whoa.
So
Their challenge.
I can understand after the first date, but after 2 years, forget it. There's no excuse.
none. So trying to be respectful and take the high road, knowing that's his job, I left.
Yeah.
And I struggled for probably about a month, maybe 6 weeks. Didn't leave my house. I work from
Michelle,
home, so I didn't leave. Yes.
do you think he was getting pressure from the congregation or people in the congregation?
No, he's just a jerk.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I've talked to enough people that I know that's not the case. But a good
Mhm.
question, but not the case.
Okay.
So I literally did not leave. I overbought Uber Eats. I overbought DoorDash.
Oh,
I
God.
did not leave. I gained 7 pounds, which on me looks like a lot. I isolated and hibernated. I was a good mama cub bear and just didn't talk to anybody. I didn't, other than work, I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't see anybody. I hadn't met Wendy yet, which is a shame because I would have called and talked to her to get through this. But I just, nobody. I shut the world off. And after about 6, probably 7 weeks, it was probably closer to the 6, now that I'm talking out loud, I said, well, I can't let one fill in the blank define me. Of the 9 billion people in the world, he's this big.
Mm-hmm.
And whether he's my person or not, he's not now.
And what
So,
did that do to your faith, though? I mean,
well,
were the two tied together?
Well, yes and no. Community wise, yes. I couldn't see anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say I blame God because I was raised you don't blame God for things or I'll smite you. But I definitely had some questions. Now, I used to share this when I was in the pulpit. When you question God with things, you don't question him in an accusatory way. You question him in an inquisitive sort of way. So I remember saying, why'd this happen? Is this a problem? You knew this was going to happen because you know everything. Why? Because I'm trying to ask so I can inquire. And very quietly, I learned this happened because that's not for you. The journey you're on is not his journey, and his journey isn't yours. I have better things for you. Just trust me. And again, overthinker. I sat down, I got to thinking about that, and I thought about all the things that I think about in a day. My daughter, my work, my friends, my lack of friends. I mean, just pick anything, traffic, the political environment that we're not going to get into. I thought of all of those things, and I realized all I have to do is concentrate on one thing, and that's follow him. And when I said that to myself, I'm just going to follow him, everything else went away. And I was okay. And I walked out the door, and I felt like when Tom Hanks in Castaway got I didn't have it, but I got the big bushy beard. Oh my God, the sun! I'm like, so that's what that yellow thing is in the sky. I hadn't seen anybody. So I walked out of my abode, and I said, they're looking for a sign. I need to find a community that's going to support me, affirm me, love me, but not only that, but that I can support, I can affirm, and I can love. And I decided to walk around my block. Walked up the street about a block and a half is the main road. And it's always been there. I've done the research. It's been there since 1862. It's the oldest church in the town I live in. Big LGBTQ flag. How did I not see this? It's less than a block away. Wait a minute. There's a flag right there. It says, all are welcome here. We love you. How did I not see this? So I said, fine, I'll go. Clearly, you're trying to tell me something. So I went Sunday. Now, I'm hiding in the back. I don't want to be seen. I even put my sunglasses on so that nobody can talk. I'm not wearing makeup. I'm wearing, a long dress that's down to my ankles, no heels, nothing. I don't want to be recognized. I'm just like, sit here, okay, I'm doing this begrudgingly. Just like how it was with me and the pastor. And when I grew up, they walk down the center aisle and they disperse so people can say goodbye. So I'm trying to sneak out. Senior pastor sees me, calls me over. Is this your first time? Oh God, yes. Well, I'm glad you're here. Yes. And I kept saying it just like that. Finally, he looks and says, well, can I at least get your name? Sure. So I told him. He goes like this, Michelle, I want to give you a hug because you're loved, not just by me, but all of us here. You have a home if you want it. That's what I needed.
Wow.
And I've been there a year and a half now.
Good for you.
That showed up
And these,
just at the right time.
exactly. So to answer your long answer to your question of how did it affect my faith, yeah, it did. Shook me. It was not cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely traumatic. But the more I dive into who I am, I realize we're all damaged. It's how we come back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we're all learning lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I wanted to do this. My story's different. It's definitely different. But if I can, I don't know the audience, but if I can have one person go, wow, thanks, Michelle. That's awesome.
Yep,
You know,
it
I
is.
just, because I've realized the older I get and the more I've begun to accept more of who I am, I want to inspire people. I want people to go, she is awesome. It's part of why I make different colors for my nails. It's that wow factor. Life's tough enough. We all need allies, even as trans people. We can be other trans people's allies. Wendy's my biggest trans ally, and I want to be hers because I love her to pieces. And
Oh, you're
So in
to
sweet.
the
our,
moon and back, baby.
she's a great person. I'm just really delighted that she and I have gotten together to be partners on this project. She's been amazing to me. She's taught me so much and introduced me to so many wonderful people. So,
And I'm one of them.
and you're one of them, and I'm so grateful for that.
I don't know how I'm going to take this. Thank you.
Just take it.
She's going to make
Because
us
we love
cry,
you.
Wendy.
Oh,
It's the estrogen. It's all about the estrogen.
oh, God. Thank God there's no more of that horrible testosterone.
Oh, yeah.
So what's different about being a woman than what you expected it to be?
I think I'm more in tune to the world and the
Mm.
things that are out there. I've always kind of had that empathetic vibe where I kind of feel like where other people are coming from. But when I sit down, I either talk to people or counsel people. I can kind of be more attuned to where they're coming from. And I'll I'll buffer it. I'm a great BS detector now. Some of the teens that I counsel, they try and pull one over on me, and I just kind of look them square in the eye and go, "Ain't gonna happen."
Mhm.
Understand? And I'm Gen X. I did it before you. I did it better than you, and I know all of your tricks. So don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Did transition make you more social? Do you find you're more social and more gregarious with people?
I'll say yes and no, and I'll explain why I say that. My circle or tribe, to use the word I used before, is not big. It's probably only about 6 deep. But those are 6 people that I can count on no matter what.
Right.
I have always maintained that even before I transition, the friendships I want in my life are the ones where I don't call them to get bailed out of jail. I got other people for that. I want the person who's sitting next to me in jail that looks at me and says, Michelle, we almost got away with it, didn't we? That's the friend I want. So if I have 6 people that are that, I'm happy.
Okay.
And that's the social people I hang out with.
Right. Okay.
I do a happy hour. The first Friday of every month, I do a happy hour. And the people that are there, not all of them, some of them kind of look at me funny, but that's okay. I'm funny. But the people
Right.
that are there that are part of my tribe, we catch up, we laugh, we joke, we have a great time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's my tribe, and those are my people.
Yep.
And I will defend them to the hilt, and I know they'll do the same with me. So in that sense, yes, I'm very social. But like
Good.
worldwide social, no, I'm still the
Oh.
shy little dorky kid.
Oh God.
So what brings you joy, Michelle? What lights you up?
My daughter.
Mm.
When you come through my house, I'm not going to show it obviously, but when you go down the hallway towards the bedroom and the bathroom in my house, I have a 13 by 10 blank wall. And I felt like, just what can I put up here? I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, but nah, I'm not going to do that. So I'm back and forth and back and forth. And I realized, especially when she was little, between my now ex-wife and I, we took lots of pictures of that kid because she's our only. and she was the second grandchild. So we took over the grandparents. And on my ex-wife's side, she was the only grandchild. So I decided I'm going to go nuts. So I literally printed out 275 4x6 pictures,
Oh my God.
laminated them, and stuck them on that wall. I didn't
Wow.
frame them because that'd be too expensive, but they're laminated up against that wall. So every time I walk down that hallway, there's my daughter.
Wow.
So I can see her smile. Some of them are the two of us. And yes, I'm a boy in those, but it's okay. I'm big enough to go, okay. That's what makes me smile. That's what makes me happy.
What do you want people to understand or at least know about people who are born transgender?
It's not an easy journey by any stretch. It's not easy. It can be fun, but that's when you make sure you have the right people around you. That's the one thing I'll tell you. Make sure you have the right people around you. Because there's nothing worse than even mixed. You have some good, some bad. No, get rid of the bad. Let them go. I'm going to use an analogy that I like. When you look out into the water and you see those buoys that go back and forth, people are like those buoys. Sometimes the tide takes them out, right? Sometimes the tide takes people out. Let the tide take them out. They don't need to be part of you right now. They might come back, they might not. But if they don't, that's okay. Because it made room for the people and the buoys that are going to come in. Build the people you need. Because there's going to be low times. I still get them. I got people like Wendy I can call. I got my friend Sharon I can call. Because I know that they're there.
Right.
It's important to have a good, I keep using the word tribe, but just a good support network, good people around you. Then don't just affirm you, but support. And they get it. And they don't just get it here, but they get it in here. Because there's so much of the world that says, oh yeah, I understand. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's like when my mom died. Oh, I'm so sorry about your loss. I understand. No, you don't. Your mom's still alive. How could you possibly understand? So when people say to me, oh, I understand it's like to be trans. Really? You still exist to me.
There's no way they can understand your lived experience.
No possible way. No possible way.
That's why I always frame it with the word comprehend.
Right.
I don't ever expect them to understand.
No.
Well,
and I do have some that get it to the point that they can. They'll never get it as much as someone like Wendy or I'll get it. But they get it to a point.
With comprehension comes acceptance.
Yeah. So I think that's my biggest thing to tell people or to encourage or teach people is just surround yourself with good people. There's good people out there. And sometimes it's hard to find them. But it's worth it.
And some people you have to let go of, like that pastor who went out to sea, you know?
Yeah. And he and I still talk from time to time. We collaborate on music from time to time. I'm trying to take the high road.
Society not accepting us and people acting like that in public, that's what makes transitioning so difficult and scary.
It is. And we're in an environment right now where it's really hard. And I'm not going to get political because that's not this isn't for that. But it's just it's really, really hard. Funny story about that. I was talking to someone I came out at 50, 51 actually. She came out 55. I'm talking to this friend and she's like, well, Michelle, I'm going to ask you, when would you have liked to have come out? So of course my mind immediately flashes to 25. I'm thinking quarter of a century. That's a cool age because my whole life's ahead of me. 57 now, be cool. 32 years I could have had this. And so she starts flipping through YouTube videos of what the world was like when I was 25. Starts showing me news clippings and literally does the turn around with the iPad. You want to come out in that world? No. No.
That's why I was in the closet for decades.
Yeah. And that's the lesson I've learned. We all come out when we come out, and we all come out when we're ready, not when the world's ready. And so if someone's out there and they're listening and like, I'm not sure if I can, it's okay. It's okay to question it. When you're ready, the world will be ready. You'll know. The world may not accept you, but we will. The world may not
Mhm.
like you, but we'll love you.
One of the lessons all my gay friends taught me was you'll make a new family and a new
Exactly.
circle of friends.
That's right. So we say in Judaism, mishpocha, family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michelle, this has been a fascinating conversation. Anything else that you want to share with our audience today?
Just don't give up. That's the biggest thing. It breaks my heart when I hear even adults, but I was going to say kids, that say, I can't do this anymore, and they take their life. Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not hard. I know it's hard. And I'm not going to sit there and pretend that my heart is your heart or your heart is my heart, but I know it's hard. I know. And sometimes it's impossible. And you don't want to get out of bed, and you think maybe the easy thing to do is just going to be done. And to make everybody cry, because that's the way I want to leave it, I've tried 8 times. I know. These
Wow.
wrists have been severed 7 times.
And what's kept you from going through with that?
Friends. People
Your
that love
tribe.
me and pick me up. People that
Mhm.
pick up and say, I don't understand why. I love you. Why would you do that? I'm not saying that in an accusatory way. I'm not saying that to hurt you. I'm not saying that to shame you. But I love you. Why? So that's my takeaway to these people. If you're hurting, I've been there. My hurt's not your hurt. Your hurt's not mine. But we all are. It's worth it. Hold on. Don't give up.
Right.
So what's
Please.
on the other
The world
side of
wants
that
you and
hurt?
needs you. So much joy. So much freedom. So much that the world doesn't want you to experience, but you get to.
Right.
Especially if you're older, you get to experience everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you get to see the world through not just these glasses that we have on now, but the ones that we had, and we're so much better. That's why I love the idea of two spirit, because
Mhm.
there is two of us inside each of us, and I think maybe I'm getting too philosophical, but I really believe the heightened, more evolved creature of Homo sapien is transgender because, and I'm going to go down the biblical road just for 2 seconds. Eve came out of Adam. There was a woman in him that had to be brought out to be created. And we were created to be perfect. Because,
Mhm.
ladies, if you're listening to this, you're perfect just the way you are. And the world needs to see that.
Thank you. What a wonderful message, Michelle. So if people want to get in touch with you or contact you, what's the best
Please
way?
reach out to Wendy or Lynn. They have my contact information. It's not that I don't want to share it here. I just have to be careful because my daughter is a teenager and I want to be respectful of her. As I said, she's all over the map. So I want to be respectful of her journey. But believe
Okay.
me, questions, concerns, comments, hopefully positive ones, tell the ladies. I'd love to connect with you and help you in any way I can.
And then we'll pass those on to you
Well,
and you can screen as you need to.
Yes,
definitely.
Wendy, any last words before we close this out?
Thank you for doing this, Michelle. I
absolutely.
really appreciate it.
You got it. Very few people I'll go to prison for, but I'll go to prison with you, Wendy.
But hopefully you won't have to ever do that.
That's true. But if so, you better be next to me. We almost got away with it.
Well, Wendy's been behaving herself lately, so we'll see whether that happens.
I'll corrupt her sooner or later.
And then you'll have a lot of fun doing it, both of you, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's wind this up for today. Michelle, it's been just such an honor and a delight for you to share your story with us. And for our audience today, just what a wonderful experience today. Michelle's story is about survival, but it's really more than that. It's a story about authenticity. She told us that she tried to silence her authentic self for decades, and she built the moat around her and buried herself in all of her achievements, and even talked about punishing her own body to quiet the truth. And in the end, the choice came down to deciding to be Michelle. She chose Michelle, and we're grateful she did. And the choice didn't just save her life, it gave her life. You can see the joy that she's expressing in her life that she's living now, just in the last few years. She's an advocate, she's a wonderful parent, and she shows up fully herself wherever she is. And that's something that you really have to appreciate and applaud in anyone, especially Michelle. So she reminds us that you don't have to understand someone's journey to respect it. And so here's something for you to consider. Where in your own life have you built a moat around instead of building your identity? Where have you been just performing instead of living? And what part of you might be waiting, patiently or loudly to be acknowledged? Michelle's story challenges us not just to tolerate a difference, but to examine those places that we hide in ourselves and to share authenticity, because it can be costly, but hiding is even more costly. So thank you, Michelle, for your courage, your humor, from Venus, your brilliance, your advocacy, and the willingness to tell your whole story, even the hard parts. You've shown us how intellect and compassion can coexist and how using your voice can change lives. So to our listeners, Wendy and I are honored and grateful that you joined us today. If our conversation moved you, challenged you, or opened a door in your thinking, we encourage you to subscribe and share this episode, leave a review, and start a conversation. Keep showing up, keep listening to other people. You matter, your voice matters. And as always, remember, stay curious and stay kind. Thank you for joining us today on this episode of Demystifying the Transgender Journey. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of our fascinating interviews. You can also find more information on our website, thetransgenderjourney.com. So until next time, stay curious and stay kind.